Okay, real hot take here. When someone says the phrase hot take and you see it on social media, it probably is quite a common opinion, and that's why the upvotes or the algorithm brings it to your attention. This is why the most upvoted comments when I asked for hot takes were things saying Bedrock should have a version switcher, everyone agrees, or indeed, Minecraft should have a combat or an end update. Yes, of course, those are widely shared opinions. That's not what a hot take is, and so I actually asked one of the channel editors to go through and find actual hot takes, and then I asked everyone who works on the channel what they think, and I have never seen a take more nuclear. But first, we're going to go into all of your hottest takes today, and we're going to rate each take not just by how correct it is, but also how hot or unique or controversial it really is, in my opinion. Hello, I'm FKX and welcome back to a very special Q&A Saturday, but let's get right into the first take today, because this is a fun one. Tibetson says, the end shouldn't have lush forests and sources of food and resources, it should stay barren, and while you're there, you should feel unwelcome. This is not actually that hot of a take. I mean, it's got a bunch of votes, right? This is something people say on the internet all of the time, and that means that I can only give it a 3 for hotness, but how correct is it? Well, if you were to ask me, look at the Nether update, and you would have probably said now, like, yeah, they should keep the Nether's identity, and they kind of did with the Soul Sand Valley and the Basalt Delta, but they also added 2 biomes that are very different and kind of friendly almost. Those are my favorite biomes, whereas every time I'm in a Basalt Delta, I curse Mojang and whoever decided to add it. And so actually, I think that this isn't necessarily correct. It sounds correct, but if there was a perfect end biome, as long as it wasn't there all the time, the end could be awesome. The end can be barren and still mostly hostile, while having 25 or 30% of it being a decent place to actually hang out. So I'm going to rate that a 4 for correctness. There's a correct vibe here, but I don't think it's a very good take. As much as I think that Telanium says keep inventory is a great way to play and achievements shouldn't be locked out of it. Oh yeah, that is definitely a 4 out of 10 hot take on the internet, because keep inventory is something a lot of people feel strongly about, and kind of myself included. I believe that you should never, even though it seems logical that like all you just want to have is not have to collect and reorganize your stuff when you die, but you then make death the fastest way to do a lot of things in Minecraft. However, the reason I don't think it's that hot of a take, and I think it's actually quite correct, is that Mojang did experiment with making keep inventory enabled by default on easy. Personally, I would say it should be enabled as a choice and only for peaceful. That's my kind of, like, I would say, compromise on this one. But overall, yes, I think that this is not the hottest take in the world, but I do think it is quite correct. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a 8 out of 10. I think that mostly it's right, but it is kind of missing some finesse. Speaking of finesse, my Minecraft hot take is that the Wither doesn't give a good enough reward for killing it. The Nether Star needs more uses, like imagine a Nether Star torch that when placed prevents all hostile mobs from spawning within 50 block radius, imagine a Nether Star potion which gives you almost every positive effect in the game, or a Nether Star furnace that makes it so any fuel source becomes as effective as a lava bucket. I actually kind of like this idea, but I also think that genuinely you could take the first effect and just add it to the beacon, or make it one of the beacon effects. I think you could take the Nether Star potion idea and you could just say, okay, let's make that a beacon choice. If you put 6 beacons together, you get all of the positives. Personally, I think that this is a major argument for why don't we make the beacon more powerful, because it's the latest game major goal to have. The only thing that I think therefore is unique here is should there be a type of furnace that you can unlock that removes the smelting, and this is a hard one because I would say no. I would say it's better when you have the like kind of grind, but people love mending, and so what if we effectively had a mending furnace that could last for some absurd amount of time on a single Nether Star? I think that's a really decent idea, but I might have taken this and gone a little bit far with it. So I think this is like vaguely correct, but do you know what else is vaguely correct? Ravioli, or BR1 Ravioli, who says the archaeology system is pretty fun. The only problem is that you can't find it on most structures that would definitely benefit from it. This is so true. Archaeology is a fun corner of the game, but as soon as 1.19 came out and they added the trail ruins and the desert temple and the desert well, as well as, to be fair, the ocean ruins, they then said, and that is all the archaeology we are ever doing. I think that this, weirdly enough, comes back to the idea that Minecraft should update their stuff, and as much as this comment is saying, we should have a combat update and end update, I think that Minecraft should be looking at the stuff they've added and working out how to better integrate it together. This is one of my most controversial opinions, but I think that overall we can say for this one, archaeology being fun and that it should have more structures, not a hot take at all. I think that's like a 1 out of 10, but it is certainly a 9 out of 10. And so why are only 2 people upvoting it? Anyway, the next hot take here is from Matt Luigi, who preferred one big update a year over several smaller drops per year, since it's hard to keep up with all the new content. I have periods where I don't play the game for weeks or months. This is something that is a hot take. There is a real divide because Minecraft players can be either they play once a year for 2 weeks, like the Matt Luigi here, or they can be people who are playing basically every week, and drops are much better for the second category than the first. Therefore, I'm going to give this a nice, like 6 out of 10 for hotness. It's something, but I'm only going to give it a 4 out of 10 for correctness, because you're simply saying you like the old system better, but if you don't play Minecraft, I don't want them to make updates for you. Like, I would much rather they cater for, I'll be honest, like the me's and the audience of this video of the world, than for Matt Luigi, who may or may not be watching this because he's not into Minecraft right now. I think that you do need to cater to normies and casuals a little bit, but they shouldn't be your primary focus. Speaking of primary focus, oh, here's a top one. Meg Yusaka says, this Caves and Cliffs update ruined mining. Every single cave is overly massive with everything you need, while diamond veins are so small in them that it's never satisfying. Okay, this is a, it's definitely a 5 out of 10 hot take. I've seen it a few times before, but to say that strip mining is impossibly slow in comparison, I think you are overestimating how many large caves there are. It's not every seed, it's not every cave, and honestly, you can look for a while and not find one of these. Eventually you will on every world, because they exist, but they're not like, oh, there's no tiny caves anymore, they're all giant. In fact, whenever I'm looking for a giant cave, I have the opposite problem, so I think that this is a 2 out of 10 for correctness. I do like strip mining and I miss it, but that's nostalgia, not a real way to live our life. Speaking of nostalgia, not a real way to live our life, Smoogie has a highly upvoted one here, which is, escalators are scary. I think they have these sharp ledges that weave in and out, and they're always moving. I feel like if I make one wrong move, I'm gonna crack my head open. Okay, this is a hot take. No one says this. That's a 6 out of 10, but it's a 2 out of 10 because they're very safely maintained. You have to really mess up with an escalator before things go wrong, and to be fair, it does happen, but if you ever look at videos, it's always in the, let's be honest, the third world. It's in places where they installed an escalator and then genuinely just forgot to maintain it, and then something went horribly wrong, and then all the maintenance came out. I think the last time it happened bad in like a major Western country was like Italy, and even then that was a lot of things going wrong, and specifically the standards not being followed. That is a scary thing as an individual, though. I will have to say, even though I say it's only a 2 out of 10 correctness, actually as an individual you don't know if they're maintaining it correctly, which is the scary bit, isn't it? You don't know if the escalator is correct, but this is the weirdest take to end up in here. Thank you, Smoogie, for your high quality opinion, but it's not as high quality as Autumn Y 2000K. Okay, you need to sit yourself down because this is our first searing hot take. They say that the Phantoms are not the most annoying mob in the game and that people overhate them. The true most annoying mob is honestly the Vex. This is an 8 out of 10 on the hotness scale because everyone agrees the Phantom is the most annoying mob. However, the Phantom is relatively avoidable and the Vex is not. The Vex has ruined so many hardcore runs for me, and honestly, I think we could even make a good argument that it's not the Vex that's the most annoying mob. Maybe it's the Hoglin in some circumstances, or the Piglin Brute, or even, depending on what you're going up for, the Warden is so frustrating because of the way he spawns. I think that genuinely, yeah, this is a correct take. It's 8 out of 10 for hotness, and it's at least 6 out of 10 for correctness, just like everyone's dream girlfriend. Anyway, with that said, let's now move into the next one here, because Psych Lover and Forever says, my hot take is that mods keep Minecraft alive, especially with how drip-fed content is with the drop system. Boo! 1 out of 10 for this one. That's not a hot take. I have heard this comment in the same way that you had from literally every source on the internet. This isn't a hot take. It's not a lukewarm take. It's not a cold take. It's a frozen cold take. It's a -1 out of 10. You broke the system by saying literally the most common thing the internet's ever said, and if we go a step further into this, I actually think that it's not just a cold take. It's not actually that true. Even though it's widely shared as if it's being true, for a decent number of Java players, let's say a third of the community there and be generous, for a third of Java players, it is absolutely true, and I am so happy for them. I saw a really cool mod that lets you organize your hotbar in a better way. I've seen Distant Horizons mods. I've seen so many cool things you can do on Java, but actually, when it comes to Bedrock, which technically speaking is most Minecraft players, even if we ignore the fact that it's the focus of this channel a lot of times, I think that with Bedrock, it's a bit different. That is to say, if there's a major Java issue, there are a bunch of community patches and mods to work with it. I think that outside of like the occasional Agent Mindstorm thing with like hiding the marketplace button or whatever, I think when we have a big controversy, things are just kind of ruined until Mojang fixes them, which is a big argument why they should fix them, and I don't know why they don't necessarily. But yeah, weirdly, I would say that this is only actually true. Let's say a 3 out of 10 to be generous. I don't think mods are holding up the Minecraft game as much as the Mojang devs are. You can tie me to a cross if you disagree with that. But the next hot take here is one from Jenny Nobody that I also do think is actually a little scorching. Every Minecraft update had something fun and worthwhile in it. I think this is a hot take because everyone hates a Minecraft update. It might not be that we all hate the same one, but you might, like the Buzzy Bees update, I'm still mad at all these years later. Or like 1.20, 1.120, where they broke everything and didn't add any actual new features. I think that, that were worthwhile. This is an example of an update that had nothing fun and worthwhile. So this is a 7 out of 10 hot. I think only 2 out of 10 true, but maybe I'm wrong about that one. The fun last hot take from the community, though, might be our best. A lot of people disagree with this one, but they say you should, so Cyber Shadow 312, brave soul for posting this, you should only have one totem in your inventory at once. Fair. And when it pops, it should keep you alive but throw your items everywhere, similar to when you die. This is definitely an 8 out of 10. This is hurting me a little bit just to look at right now, because ultimately, the totem is kind of a necessary part of how people play Minecraft now. It was massive power creep to introduce it, and I don't really know that Mojang knew what they were doing when they did, but now it's so accepted that you should be able to never die if you don't want to. I mean, honestly, hardcore's been proven pointless by it. But yeah, it's something that I would say is a very hot take. But even though I like it, and I would add this to Minecraft, I think a lot of people would get so mad if all their items got thrown in lava or the end. And also, I think a lot of people, the reason they use keep inventory is just because they hate that inventory reorganization, which they would still have to do. Love this idea. I would add it to my game, but Cyber Shadow, I've got to stay away from the scorching hot take that you've just dropped right here. So those are the hot takes that came from my community post. Then I decided, just for fun, I would ask the people who work at Toy Cat Studios, that's what we call it over here. I figured we'd ask the people who work for me in some capacity what their hot takes are. And let me just say that there are some pretty wild ones in here, because on the surface, yeah, it's like, okay, the first ones here were from Adorable Ho. The idea that leather armor is the best armor if you don't suck at the game because it's dieable, this is a hot take, but it is also pretty true. Whereas Riptide 3 being superior to the alternative to Fireworks, this is obviously a hot take that is not that true because of the very aforementioned leather, and disposable tools being better than mending tools. I love quite a lot of this actually, but I don't think these are the hottest takes, whereas what is a hot take is Deshi right here, dropping out of nowhere, I like phantoms. This is have you ever heard anyone say this unironically? Honestly, I might have to check on him. He might not be okay. He might be, being held hostage by some people, and the only way to let us know is to say something that literally no one would say if they weren't being held. So I'm gonna have to send him a message privately, but this is a 9 out of 10 hot take. I don't know that it gets any worse than this. However, then I saw Ash say gravel is one of the best blocks to find while mining. Whoa, but then actually, I realized with concrete being, making it worthwhile, I think this is only a hot take to, OGs, old school people. Like, ever since concrete was added, gravel actually is really worthwhile, especially the Silk Touch shovel, and so actually not that crazy of a take. Whereas, when it comes to Harrison's take, there's a lot of them here, but I think the one that I want to focus on is the concept of peaceful difficulty being a more enjoyable experience. Okay, we're starting to get hot. I really do feel like there's a peaceful community, and everyone else goes, we don't bother playing with it. But Harrison is, I think, the person I know who's played the most peaceful, and so clearly his opinion means something. Even though this is an 8 out of 10 hot take, I'm still going to give it a 7 out of 10 for accuracy, because... Oh, wait, no, I just read the one about major updates again. Did he just say that major updates, not drops, added too many new features? Is he saying the problem with 1.19 to 1.21 was too many features? Okay, that is a... I'm gonna drop the hotness is going up to 9, and the trueness is going down to a 0. And that is no one's opinion. Literally, the problem with the Wild update is how how little it added. The problem with 1.20 was how unfocused it was, and like it was very disparate and not necessarily enough. I think that this is something crazy. But then, really, the thing that drove this to the next level was KMB saying mending should be removed entirely. The villager trade rebalance was right. Elytras need nerfs, and the totems of Undying should not be farmable whatsoever. These are all crazy ones, but I think the hottest take that brings us back down to being a more reasonable 7 is that Minecraft Live was actually good when it was 90 plus minutes, had a vote, and had many segments that weren't about the vanilla game. Wait, no! What the heck did you just say? You prefer when Minecraft Live wasn't about the vanilla game? I actually do kind of agree that now they've stripped it down. Instead of making 90 minutes about the base game, they've just cut out the 60 minutes that weren't about the base game, and now it feels like you're watching a weird Minecraft YouTube video, but live. Minecon does still need to return, though. Okay, this is pretty nuts, right? This is the craziest take. You might think it's the one I'm referring to when I say the hottest take, but I do have to warn you before you watch the rest of this video, if you are someone who is prone to leaving very upset comments, if you're someone who cannot type correctly when you're in a rage, this last take is literally nuclear radioactive. This is a 10 out of 10 hot take, but how true is it? Let me read out Agent Mindstorm's, or Agent Mindsanta's, hot take right here. My opinion is that the continued existence of Java Edition as its own thing has led to the really frustrating state of modern updates with parity, and especially everything Bedrock related. That's right. The take here, that I believe to be genuine, is that Java Edition's continued existence is the biggest problem in Minecraft, and he explains by saying, if Mojang had discontinued Java with Better Together and moved all the devs to Bedrock, there would have been massive outrage, true, but the developers who were moved to Bedrock would have caused the game to improve over time a lot more, and probably it'd be a much better version than at least modern Bedrock Edition. That is to say, it might not be better than Java, it could be, but it might not be, but it definitely would be better than modern Bedrock, and this would be the best move for the 90% of players who play on mobile and consoles where Java isn't an option. They would now get a much better game, and the user base / code base is not fragmented and messy like it is today. And this is what a hot take is supposed to be. If you immediately make 90% of people protective about my beloved Java, how dare you say that? But yeah, if you use the same logic here for Bedrock Redstone, just to take this down a notch, when Bedrock Redstone was brought over to console, they should have just broken all Bedrock Redstone to match Java, rather than continuing the terrible Bedrock system. It is widely known, and although Bedrock and Java Redstone both have pros and cons over each other, they should have made one match the other, and if they were going to keep both versions, then Bedrock Redstone should have matched Java. Or, indeed, Java Redstone should have matched Bedrock, but I think that, in general, I think there were more Redstone things being done on Java, so they should have just done it that way, since they were already breaking it for legacy console players. I still have furnace minecarts running around that don't exist because they're not furnaces anymore, so I think that in that same vein, genuinely think about how much better Minecraft would be if every update didn't have to have huge compromises so they could make some weird Bedrock feature work on Java, or indeed what's happened in reverse, like with the bundle, make weird Java features work on Bedrock. Imagine if instead all the manpower across both offices was all being put into making Minecraft into being a better game. There would have been riots, but this is the thing that you can say with hindsight. If they would have survived it, it would have been by far the better thing to do. 8 years of development would have gone so much better. We'd have more modability, more features. All the features wouldn't be so janky because the Java developers would have to be playing with them too. This is a bold decision that Microsoft could have made that would have gotten them so much hate, and that's ultimately probably why they didn't do it, but it would have been better in the long run, and any time now if you consider doing it, you're still going to get that same hate, and you're going to have lost all the years of development that could have come if they had just buttoned the billet to begin with. Also, just saying, having all of the player base on the same edition has so many benefits, and so even if somehow getting rid of Java made Java worse and that Windows 10 Bedrock got no better, it would still be better for the 90% of players on mobile and console console, and only 10% of players who play on PC, Mac, and Linux would have had a downside. Is that worthwhile? That is the hot take. That is what I want to consider. But I will say 4 people gave it the fire emoji, and 2 people gave it the fire engine emoji, and it's even got a little golden salmon emoji here. Needless to say that even though there are other takes, this is an 11 out of 10 for hotness or spiciness, and I think that ultimately when it comes to how correct it is, it comes down to the philosophy of, you know, the idea that the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago, the second best time is today. There are lots of hard decisions that need to be made that seem impossible and that feel like you can't make them in the moment, but you'll be in so much of a better place down the line if you make them. And obviously Minecraft is there, but you've got to think about where it is for your life too, because are there some cases where you can be as correct as Agent Mindstorm, who I'm going to give a 9 out of 10 just to add to the spiciness today. Thank you for watching, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.